Members, House File 1144, Representative Feist, would you like to make a motion to move House File 1144 to be before the committee and to lay it over for possible inclusion or for further consideration at a later date?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I would move that House File 1144 be considered for being laid over in the omnibus bill.
Thank you very much. Members of the committee and members of the public, we're looking to lay this bill over by 11:55 a.m., at which point we will recess in anticipation of returning for our evening hearing at 6 p.m. I have to remind myself we're recessing so I don't accidentally adjourn the committee. But it's also a heads up to members. Representative Feist, before you introduce your bill, I understand you have an author's amendment you'd like to offer to get the bill into the shape you'd prefer.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I do, and I'm happy to explain it.
I move the A2 amendment to be before the committee to put the bill in the shape that the author desires. Now that it's before us, Representative Feist, please tell us about your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On further consideration, it might make more sense to just vote on the amendment to get it into the shape that I would like, and then I can kind of start from the beginning and explain the larger context for the amendment and what this larger bill is trying to do, if that's all right with you.
That's just fine. Why don't we also let you be the one making the amendment or making the motion to for your own author's amendment. So Representative Feist moves adoption of the A2 amendment to get the bill in the form that she prefers. Any questions to that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the Feist motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion prevails. Representative Feist, to your bill as amended. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, members of the committee, for the opportunity to present House File 1144 to you this morning. The purpose of this bill is to improve compensatory revenue, one of the largest pieces of school funding formula, which is intended to enhance the achievement of students from low socioeconomic status. Compensatory revenue uses free and reduced lunch levels as a proxy to identify schools with the greatest need for this funding. Mr. Chair, so first I will explain the amendment. First, the amendment would allow students free or reduced price meal status to continue as long as the student remains enrolled at the site. A student's family would be required to report to the school if their income increased beyond the eligibility level. The second change would allow any school participating in the Federal Community Eligibility Provision, or CEP, to use the count for the school site from the fall prior to the school site joining CEP. This would ensure that schools that have made changes to obtain federal dollars and therefore are no longer reliant on state-level lunch funding aren't penalized for compensatory revenue purposes. The count would be authorized up to 4 years, but a new count is required each time the school site re-ups in the CEP. And lastly, the amendment adds the governor's language for compensatory revenue, hold harmless aid, and hold harmless aid for the tribal contract schools that was released in the supplemental budget. And Terry Yetter from MDE is on hand to speak specifically to that provision if there are questions. In addition to the changes made by adopting the amendment, House File 1144 would do 3 things. First, it removes the cap. Under current law, the concentration factor in compensatory revenue does not increase once the school's percentage of students on free and reduced price lunch hits 80%. The cap unfairly penalizes schools with more than 80% of their students qualifying for free and reduced price lunch, many of which are high need. And schools affected by this cap can be found both in the Metro and Greater Minnesota. Removing the cap would benefit students across the state, ensuring that all students get the critical resources they need. Second, this bill requires compensatory revenue to be spent on evidence-based practices. Let's make sure that we are using the funds wisely on strategies that are proven to boost student achievement. This would be similar to the effort that Representative Bennett is working on and that we've heard in this committee. In the office of the Legislative Auditor Report on compensatory revenue released this year, the OLA stated that, quote, little is known on how district spending corresponds with allowed uses. This recommendation is consistent with the OLA evaluation. And lastly, this bill requires 80% of compensatory revenue to be spent at the school site, which generates the aid. Because the districts currently only have to use 50% of the funds at the school site that generated the money, it is unclear how much of the funding is being directly spent on the students it is intended to benefit. Students generating the aid should be the focus of the aid. And the same recommendation can be found in Governor Walz's budget. Now more than ever, especially coming out of the global pandemic, we can address the staggering opportunity gap by making these changes. These changes ensure a more equitable distribution of compensatory revenue, that we're focusing resources on our most vulnerable students and using these critical resources effectively. I'll turn it over to my first testifier, Ms. Paula Cole from Educators for Excellence. And we have a number of other testifiers as well. And I look forward to answering questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we go to testifiers, Mr. Strom, I believe you've prepared 3 documents for the committee related to House File 1144 as amended.
Mr. Chair, members, thank you. Yes, there are 3 documents, and we don't probably need to spend too much time on any of the 3. The first of those will be the governor's recommendations that Ms. Yetter speaks to with the compensatory revenue hold harmless that the governor has proposed in the revised recommendations. This follows our usual district by district list and shows the revenue amount that each school district would receive under the adjustment. Essentially about $60-some million is showing up on that printout. I'm happy to take time later to walk through that printout with members, or perhaps at tonight's meeting when there's more time. If members have questions on that printout, we can discuss that further. The second and third printouts in the packet are 2 different ways of looking at the effect of removing the 80% cap. The first of those sums those amounts up to the district level, which is how this committee usually sees school finance information. So for those districts that have a school site over 80% free and reduced lunch eligible, there's additional revenue generated at the site level, and that's rolled up in that printout on the district by district list. The third printout shows the same thing, but at the site level. There are 2,300 school sites in Minnesota, which often leads to very long lists. So we rarely display information for the committee on the site basis, but on this printout, it's selected those sites, all of the sites in the state that have a free and reduced lunch count over 80% of the enrollment at that school site, and it shows the increased revenue that would flow to each of those sites under House File 1144 as amended. Mr. Chair, I'm happy to answer questions about this, or wait till this evening, or talk with individual members, as I know time is precious.
Thank you, Mr. Strom. Ms. Cole, welcome to the committee. Please state your name for the record and proceed with your testimony.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Paula Cole, and I'm very grateful, Chair Daphne, for this opportunity, and also to Representative Feist for sponsoring this bill, and to the also thank you to the co-sponsors, because this is a really big opportunity for us to do something with money that we already have allocated, right? It's always an opportunity. So I am the Executive Director of Educators for Excellence Minnesota, and we are a teacher-led nonprofit with approximately 2,300 members across the state. Let me tell you why I'm here. Our teachers are teaching right now, but we have been in conversation about this for the past few years, and the organization itself has been working consistently along the lines of the following. We support school funding that is equitable, that is going to result in positive academic outcomes, that is going to decrease the opportunity gaps and hold school leaders accountable, and also that is transparent down to the student level and accessible to all. We have learned from Representative Feist, and many of you already know from the OLA report, that compensatory aid funds are not targeting the students who most need them or who even generate the funds. These funds are being sent to districts, and before telling you the following, I want to offer a full disclaimer. I'm also a Richfield School Board member, but I'm not telling you that in that role. I'm wearing my E40 hat, and also Richfield is not even in the schools that will be targeted by this, but I want to bring an example because I always like to do that. We have in a small community 4 schools for elementary services, and one of them, Centennial Elementary, is the one with the highest poverty funding. So if I'm on this board and we were to receive money from the state, as a district and not give it to Centennial, where I know is clearly highly, more needed at that Sheridan, at the west side of the neighborhood, then I can see, that was really how I saw how this will be a problem, because as you all know, poverty has a say in the achievement gap before students even step school for the first time in kindergarten. And that is a lot of where the issues with reading and math come from. That's where more supports are needed for intervention, for reading resources, for other supports for students. And that's why I think it's really imperative that we are allocating the money directly to schools. And not only that, right now I find that there is a lot of wiggle room in how districts can allocate this money. So I'm really hoping that we can ensure these funds are used for things that are proven to work, especially for our communities. And as always, please let us know if you want to talk directly to teachers about this. And we are happy to keep the conversation going. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Cole. Next on the agenda, Lucilla Davila from Falwell's Performing Arts Magnet in Minneapolis. Principal, good to see you. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name for the record and proceed.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Representative Feist. My name is Lucila Davila, and I'm the principal of a K-8 school here at Falwell Performing Arts Magnet in Minneapolis Public Schools. Today, I'm asking for your support with the HF1144, which would improve our compensatory revenue here and funding. As a principal firsthand, I have, and as we speak, I just finished our budget for next year. And as you can see, there's a declining funding with the compensatory aid funds statewide. And with that declining funding, it's when you're doing budget, you have to then make cuts. And here, Falwell is a school that is pretty much 83 to 85% free and reduced. So therefore, we are a school that we get additional funding, but it's still not enough. And when I'm saying that it's not enough, when we are looking at, first of all and foremost, the compensatory education funds help supports here at Bolu to lower classroom sizes. So we have a nice ratio between teacher and student. It also helps us with the individualized learning in small groups, cater to instruction or interventions and academic progress. We also use the money closely for kindergarten readiness, especially full day kindergarten. Some schools don't have full day kindergarten programs. We are lucky to have 4 classrooms full of full day kindergarten, a full day program. However, that school readiness is vital, and there's a lot of components that come with that. That additional support that we need for the individualized learning, because we don't have students that fits in a one size fits all. And Compet also helps with our parent involvement, and especially the academic pieces of really coming together and seeing how the students are learning to then put all the supports within the resources for a STEM program, reading program, especially the reading programs that I was hearing earlier, and the STEM and STEAM programs that I was hearing earlier. Those are all vital programs that we use funding, that we use compensatory funding for our students. And with the declining funding, it has really put a strain on public schools and our school here at Bolu. So in short, I'm here to urge you to support the HF1144, because it is a step in the right direction to providing more equitable education for all of us and our students. And I thank you all for today, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Principal. Next on my agenda is a member of the Minnesota Youth Council from De La Salle High School. And frankly, the damage I would do to your name just isn't kind. So I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself for the record and proceed, and then I'll work on it. Welcome to the committee, sir.
Thank you, Chair Daphne, Representative Feist, and other members of the committee. My name is Bolu Ilaboye, and I'm a member of the Minnesota Youth Council. I'm also a student at De La Salle High School in Minneapolis. 10 years ago, I moved from Oklahoma to Minnesota because of my parents' job. Initially, we were excited about Minnesota schools because they rank highly compared to others in the nation. And Minnesota is also known for its progressive funding formula that is designed to send more money to high-need schools. But what we didn't know was that Minnesota also has one of the biggest achievement gaps in the nation, and that the state's poverty aid to schools is in need of reform. A few years ago, I had the chance to join Congressman Keith Ellison's Youth Council. My project was about the achievement gap. I learned about inequitable resources, about implicit bias in education, and about the belief gap that stems from the achievement gap. Since that time, I've been involved in service such as volunteering at programs specifically for underrepresented minority students in order to address these inequities in education. I care deeply about House File 1144, but my eyes certainly may glance over the mention of the word formulas. To me, this bill isn't about formulas. It's about meaningful academic and social programming that will open doors for my friends, relatives, and community members in the future. Because while I'm lucky to have access to a school with resources, most students in Minnesota who look like me do not have the same experience. I'm asking you to support House File 1144, which will improve the compensatory funding. At first glance, you may be thinking, what does a student have to say about funding formulas? I care about this issue because I believe that budgets are a reflection of values. And it's clear to me that if Minnesota lawmakers care about ensuring that all students have the opportunities to learn and grow, they need to pass this bill that would ensure that students who need the most will receive the most. At the end of the day, we all know, or I hope we all know by now, equitable does not mean equal. If this funding is really going to be equitable and impact students like my relatives and friends, it must actually be spent on those it's intended to benefit and used to provide meaningful programming, teaching, and service that have a great real impact. I urge you to support House File 1144 because it is a step in the right direction towards doing this. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Representative Feist, and the members of the committee.
Mr. Ilaboyu, thank you for your testimony. Much appreciated. Next, Matt Shaver with Ed Allies. Mr. Shaver.
Chair Dabney, members of the committee, good morning. My name is Matt Shaver, Policy Director at Ed Allies, a nonprofit whose mission to put underserved students first in policy brings me to testify in support of House File 1144 as amended. We thank Representative Feist for her leadership and vision on the issue. In general, the higher the concentration of kids in poverty, the greater the per pupil compensatory dollars those students generate. The formula works in a logical way for schools serving between 0% and 79% of students in poverty. At 80% and above, schools are penalized by the formula for serving too many students in poverty. The per pupil dollars freeze and are the same whether you are a school at 81% or 100%. Fortunately, there are only around 150 schools in the state that in a given year are at or above that 80% threshold. I taught at 3 of those 150 schools, and yes, some of them are in Minneapolis and St. Paul, but these district and charter schools that serve extraordinarily high concentrations of kids in poverty are spread throughout the state: St. Cloud, Rochester, Duluth, Bemidji, Red Lake, more. Those schools have been shortchanged by the compensatory revenue for a long time. Minnesota is the only state in the country with a compensatory-like revenue stream with a funding cap like this. HF1144 removes that penalty and unlocks funding that should be going to schools sprinkled throughout our state with the absolute highest need. It's the moral minimum to lift this cap. There are other great items in this bill that will support just about every school in the state and address both immediate issues and longstanding challenges with compensatory revenue. Briefly, requiring 80% of the funds to stay at the site they were generated at should be seen as a technical fix, given that nearly every district surveyed by the OLA report last spring said that all of the funds were already staying at the school. Requiring the funds to be used for evidence-based practices is logical, self-explanatory, and much needed. The author's amendment alleviates the burden of schools tracking down families to fill out the same forms each year that are literally worth more than their weight in gold to schools and districts. This amendment allows a form to be valid as long as a student is enrolled at the school, something a school leader told me last night would be, quote, a godsend. This will make compensatory revenue more predictable for schools and districts while freeing up time to focus on serving kids, which leads to the hold harmless amendment. According to DHS, only 36 out of the 336 districts in our state reported the same or greater free and reduced price meal counts from last year to this year. This is a real one-time challenge that districts are facing that underlines the desperate need to no longer rely as heavily on a high-stakes piece of paper. Finally, you'll hear more about the community eligibility provision in this committee tomorrow, but this federal program pays for schools with high concentrations of students in poverty to just feed all of their students. And much like how we don't ask kids how much their family makes before allowing them to use kickballs and school buses, makes meals just part of the offered school program. Minnesota has one of the lowest CEP participation rates in the country, and that is partially due to concerns about losing out on compensatory revenue. The fix included in this bill will no longer force schools to choose between feeding all of their kids and receiving a fair amount of academic revenue. In sum, this bill will help compensatory revenue live up to its purpose, allow funds to be generated and used more equitably to support low-income students and English learners. Thank you to Representative Feist and to the co-authors for your leadership. Thank you all for your public service.
Thank you, Mr. Shaver. Last on my list, Benjamin McKenzie, Hiawatha Academies, teacher. Mr. McKenzie, welcome to the committee. Please state your name for the record and proceed with your testimony.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Chair Dabney, and good morning, members of the committee. My name is Ben McKenzie. I'm a teacher at Hiawatha Academies. I'm also a member of Educators of Excellence, which represents over 2,200 teacher members throughout the state of Minnesota.
Mr. McKenzie, can I stop you? The sound quality is quite poor.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that improved it. So why don't you give that a shot? And if it doesn't stay that way, turn off your video. But please proceed.
Will do. I apologize. It's a delicate balance right now. As I said, good morning, Chair Dabney. Good morning to the members of the committee. My name is Ben McKenzie. I'm a teacher at Hiawatha Academies in Minneapolis, and I'm a member of Educators for Excellence, which represents over 2,300 teachers throughout the state of Minnesota. And I want to start today by thanking Representative Feist and my co-testifiers for authoring and standing up in favor of this proposal, which would be a crucial step towards equitable education everywhere in Minnesota. While E4E engages on a wide range of education issues in Minnesota, I feel it's vital to appear today in order to advocate for the students I serve. I've spent my career in teaching because I want to support the brilliant young scholars I meet each year, and it's because of them that I feel compelled to testify today. At my school, the vast majority of students are living in poverty, and the reality is difficult enough, but our current school funding makes it only harder for them to get a quality education. And although the infrastructure is in place to adequately and equitably provide education to schools like mine, we have not been able to use those resources yet because we have not been able to ensure they are reaching the classroom. This bill would ensure that more funds are spent on students who are generating them. Lifting the cap on schools with high percentages of poverty, like mine, would ensure that children who benefit from the funding would get the boost. In addition to ensuring that students feel the boost, we need to take a hard look at whether we're using the money in ways that make current improvements to academic and social outcomes. With more equitable funding, I know that my school can deliver some of the most vital programs to boosting student outcomes. These additional resources could ensure hands-on science experiments, both in person and in distance, batches of books to connect readers to each other and build comprehension, and stronger parent supports to serve students both in classwork and in homework, which are some of the things we've seen be most effective and in need of most funding. Increasing educational spending is critical, but we also need to ensure that those funds are positively impacting students who need it most, students who live in poverty, my students, and those I know. I urge you to support House File 1144 because it's a step in the right direction to providing a more equitable education system. I want to thank you, Chair Dabney, and members of the committee for your time and hearing my testimony. I hope my students can count on your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. McKenzie. Members, questions?
Mr. Chair, I believe we have a couple of additional testifiers.
Oh, I'm sorry, they were not on my list. Representative Feist, can you identify them, please?
Yes, I know Mr. Cronquist, Scott Cronquist is here, as well as a former school board member from St. James.
And
I don't know.
Representative Feist, you are right, and I am wrong. I just had to scroll a little further down my list. My apologies. Mr. Cronquist?
Good morning.
You know the drill.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members. My name is Scott Cronquist with the Association of Metropolitan School Districts. And in the interest of saving the committee some time, I'm also testifying for the Minnesota School Board Association and the Minnesota Association of School Administrators. Appreciate the opportunity to share a few brief remarks about House File 1644 and want to thank Representative Feist for sponsoring this important legislation. First, I want to note that we are very grateful and supportive of the hold harmless language in the bill. I think many of you know, and you've heard from your local school districts, that absent this, our school districts were looking at really a major loss of revenue across the state. AMSD member districts were looking at an average reduction in compensatory revenue of about $900,000. In fact, with some districts would have seen reductions of $4 or even $5 million. We also appreciate Representative Feist looking at methods beyond applications for free or reduced price lunch to determine compensatory funding. This method has been a challenge even before the pandemic, and obviously with the data that I just shared, you can see how what a significant challenge it was during the pandemic trying to get those applications turned in. And then lastly, and I had a little chance to talk to Representative Feist about this, but we are still working on gathering information from our districts regarding the language that would require 80% of the revenue to be spent at the site. And we certainly agree that the funds need to be spent, and they are spent on the students who are in need of those services. But just quickly, the reason there is it's important that there is some flexibility at the district level to make sure that happens is that it's not uncommon for a site to be a relatively low poverty school site and really generate little or no compensatory revenue, but still have students in need of services. An example might be that that site might have a population of English language learners. And really, the compensatory revenue then is able to fill in behind and help make sure that that site could have an EL teacher, for example. So that's just one example of why some flexibility is important to make sure we actually do serve all the students who need those services. So I'll stop there, Mr. Chairman and members, but thank you again for the opportunity and for hearing this very important legislation.
Thank you, Mr. Cronquist. On my list, Luisa Trapero, a former St. James School Board member. Welcome to the committee. Please state your name for the record and proceed with your testimony. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Representative Feist and members of the community. My name is Luisa Trapero. I'm a community member, but also I'm a former board member of the St. James Public School, District 840. This HF1144 is so important to all the not just the metro, but also the outer parts of the Minnesota, because we have seen a big change in our demographics. Also, I mean, by ensuring these funds, we are being used to evidence the base way to impact the students who are behind, and there are thoughtful rotation behind how funds are being used and how to close the achieving gap. Also, you know, if I guess the most of it is just to support this bill. A lot of my other members have said it right in there. We need to have this support to be more equitable on education. And this is all what I urge you guys to do is support this HF1144 because it's a step to the right direction to provide a more equitable education throughout the whole state. I just want to say thank you to everyone, especially to Ms. Feist and the committee to get this this bill in there. And I hope you guys do take it as what we need to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Trapero, for joining us today. Members, unless Representative Feist needs to correct me again, I think that it's time for questions. Representative Krisha, you are the only one with your hand up.
Shocking. So thank you, Mr. Chair. And again, remind me of your timetable so I can respect that.
We're hoping to finish up by 11:55.
Very good.
That gives you 12 minutes.
Okay, I can do that. So just a couple, Representative Feist, thanks for bringing this up. Thanks for your bill. Congratulations on a hearing in front of the Ed Finance. Mr. Strom, if I could just ask you briefly, can you walk me through, I believe I understand it, but I just always like to have your affirmation. Could you walk me through two school districts which are similar? That would be Bemidji and Brainerd, and just walk me through exactly the difference in the compensatory change.
Mr. Strom?
Mr. Chair, members, perhaps if Ms. Burt puts up the spreadsheet at the district level of the 80% and above, that may be helpful. Let me start by saying that the compensatory revenue is calculated at the site basis. This means that the ratios are determined and the concentrations determined at each site. So a district's compensatory revenue is the sum of its sites revenue, not necessarily the sum of its district characteristics. Rather, each site gets added together. So with a situation between two districts like Brainerd and Bemidji, even if the two school districts had the same concentration at the district level, if their sites were different, if one had twice as many eligible students for free and reduced price lunch at one site and half as many as another, their compensatory revenue would be different because of the way that the revenue is calculated using concentration at the site. I'm not sure if this is exactly where you're trying to go with this or not, Representative Krisha, but if you look at the printout that Ms. Burt has just put on the screen for us, you'll see that for the Bemidji School District, there's 4,969 pupils at the site using our measure called enrollment. 1,456 are free lunch students, 418 are reduced price students. We take the free lunch students plus 1/2 of the reduced price students for a total of 1,665 funding pupils, which gives them a concentration at the district level of 33.5%. And then the next column shows that the revenue is at under baseline is at $2,672,000 of compensatory revenue. That would go up to 2,714,000 under Representative Feist's bill. So there's an increase in revenue for the Bemidji School District. Mr. Chair, if Ms. Burt could go down to the Brainerd School District. Oh my goodness, Ms. Burt is so competent. The Brainerd School District, District 181, has a relatively similar level of students, 6,420. A relatively similar percentage of the students are at free or reduced price lunch. And you can see there's no change there. And that's because the concentration at the Brainerd sites is not as variable as the concentration at poverty at the Bemidji sites. And this would be evident if we switch to the other spreadsheet that shows by site. We'll go to the Bemidji site, and you'll see that there's these are all the sites that are above 80% free and reduced price meal eligibility. And on this site,
and Mr. Strom?
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Representative Krisha, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Strom, in the interest of time, that's what I was looking at was the per district one. You don't necessarily have to bring up the per site one. I can save you a little bit of time. But my question is, being very familiar with both Bemidji and Brainerd, does this create a situation where if I move some kids around between the elementaries, I could hit those threshold and therefore I could try to get to that 80% cap? Is that the scenario that could possibly be created since it's site-based?
Mr. Chair, Representative Krisha, yes, it's site-based. If a district had a plan in place that concentrated poverty at a site, that may yield that result. I'd have to look at the individual details for each of the schools in the two comparison districts to see if that would matter. I'm not sure in the Brainerd district if any of the sites are above 80% or how close they are to that.
Sure.
And whether the district could rearrange to get that result or not. Others may want to speak to the way that school boards and school districts make attendance decisions for school sites, but that certainly the site variability has been a part of the issue as this committee over the years has addressed compensatory revenue, whether that should be addressed at the site level or the district level.
Okay, Mr. Strom?
Representative Krisha.
Thank you, and I'll keep moving along here. Mr. Strom, with the changes in the, or to the bill testifier, whoever, but I'll direct it to you first, Mr. Strom. With the changes in just getting the compensatory paperwork done, or the free and reduced paperwork done once every 4 years, would that, if kids move amongst the sites, or if they leave, let's say we have another, crazy event like we had with COVID where we have declining enrollment, how does that affect this compensatory calculation? In other words, let's say, and I just want to make sure I understand this, let's say a school district is at 82% for a site but suddenly we go into a COVID situation and many of those kids choose to go to other schools, private, homeschool, whatever. Does that percentage still stay there, or is it readjusted based on unique situations like we would have with COVID?
Mr. Strom?
Mr. Chair, members, there are, under the amendment adopted that Representative Feist offered, there are 3 alternatives. One of those is if you're a CEP site, that you automatically use the same count for the 4 years duration of the CEP. So if you fit that definition, a student leaving the site or not for a pandemic or other reason wouldn't come into play. In the second scenario, if a student left the site under the language in the amendment right now, it counts as long as the student's at the same site. So if the student left the site to go to another school, graduated from 5th to 6th grade, or left because of a pandemic or something, then that student would no longer be enrolled at that site and would not count automatically at that site. The third case would be the current counting method, which would be the count at each site each fall. And one point to make about all of this that may get us a little off track, I hope not, is that count is always from the previous fiscal year. So for example, for the governor's hold harmless that's being proposed, that's for fiscal year 22, but based on the count from the fall of 2020 compared to the count from fall of 2019.
Thank you, Mr. Strom.
Representative Krisha, I think Representative Feist would also like to respond to your line of questioning if she could
Very
at this
good.
time. Thank you,
Yes.
Representative Feist.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to say that, the goal with these amendments is to create a more consistent, stable funding measure for compensatory revenue. And that's in line with the Office of the Legislative Auditor's report, which recommended that we monitor the use of reporting codes and improve the count, the way that we're counting students. And so the goal here is to just create a more stable measure of eligibility for compensatory funding. And ultimately, I think we need to take it the next step and create even a more holistic way of measuring need within the various schools.
Thank you, Representative Feist. Representative Krisha, additional questions?
I do have 2 more. I think I'll make my time here. I'll be very quick. So 2 questions. Representative Feist to the bill author. So you just mentioned you're trying to fix the OLA recommendations, all that, respect that. With respect to that, what would you anticipate would be the achievement outcomes that would be increased by doing this for these schools?
Representative Feist?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think that really goes to the desire to ensure that these funds are spent on evidence-based practices. So the language already for compensatory revenue enumerates the specific types of activities that we can spend these dollars on, all of which are aimed at addressing the opportunity gap. But requiring that those practices be spent on evidence-based methods, I think we'll get to the next large finding of the Office of the Legislative Auditor, which talked about how we need to better measure the impact of these dollars. And I think that Professor Gibbons' presentation to this committee was really enlightening. And she had one slide that I have pulled up where she's like, we need to test hypothesis. We need to do data analysis. We need to develop surveys. And then we ultimately need to figure out, like, is this working? How fast is it working? How well is it working? And so I'm particularly excited about that element of this bill. And I do believe that we will have a much better sense of what these dollars are doing for our kids.
Very good.
Representative Krisha?
Last quick question to AMSD. Mr. Cronquist, you said that you support this, which is great. So you support this, all of your school districts support this, and the mandates that'll go along with this, as Representative Feist said, tying this to evidence-based programs, and therefore, do you also agree this will increase outcomes for your schools?
Mr. Cronquist.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Representative Krisha. Yes, as I noted, we are getting additional feedback from our districts just on the 80% requirement at the site. Really want to just make sure that that's not going to create issues for anybody in serving the students that really do need those additional supports and services. But yes, otherwise, Representative Creasure, we do strongly support the bill and look forward to continuing to work with the author and the committee moving forward.
Representative Creasure, any further questions?
I have to respect my time. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Representative Feist, any brief closing remarks before we recess?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have a final few points. So the first, which we've just been talking about, is that this bill really addresses the recommendations of the OLA. We're going to make sure that we are improving our understanding of the impact of these funds, and that we're going to really address how we are identifying which students need these funds better. Second, I am really excited about the impact of the amendment on allowing schools to really take full advantage of the CEP federal funding. We need to make the best use we can of those federal dollars that schools are eligible for. And I believe that this amendment and this bill is going to help us do that. And lastly, this bill is about investing in kids. And I tried to find updated stats. The most recent one I could find says that if we address the opportunity gap in this country, that the GDP would be $670 billion higher. So we know that this is about investing in our future, our economic future. And I am just really excited about the ways that we can address compensatory revenue to make sure that all kids all across the state of Minnesota can thrive and achieve their full potential. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Feist. With that, Representative Feist renews her motion to lay over House File 1144 as amended for possible inclusion.